Today we're going to confront the top 4 problems that nearly every global mover encounters. And they are not just small inconveniences, they really are challenges that inevitably can kind of shake us up a little bit and make us wonder even if the whole move was worth it. So the number one is the pressure as a global professional to deliver, to do well in the new job that has taken you overseas. The weighty expectations of that. The second is family, any family that may be accompanying you, a spouse, your children, and the silent struggle that can make or break that move. The third one is housing and logistics. We all need a home, and there can be many hidden complexities to accomplishing that. And the fourth one, cultural adaptation. How do you fit in without losing your sense of self, your identity, and staying true to yourself? Before I get into each of these, which each in their own right can be quite overwhelming, and you can imagine what they're like when stacked together, I would like to say something directly to you. This podcast has been a wonderful journey, and I am very grateful for everyone who's been there with me. And it's been an enlightening foray into the stories of what it takes to move countries from my very generous guests. And their stories are available to you to revisit at any time. Now, my reality is that moving my work forward, I need to make some choices. It's like when we move countries, life is suddenly full of lots of decisions and choices. So for now, I'm going to press pause on the podcast. And really, it's almost a problem worth having because it gives me the opportunity to explore and open up new ways in how I can really support you as the global mover, the global professional who has moved overseas. So I'm going to take the time to really refine and look at the meaningful resources I can provide to serve the global professional and their families as they settle into their new country, and ideally for it to be a very satisfactory, successful, and if wanted, long-term move. That's where I'm at right now. And it is because of that that I came up with the Facebook group, because I really wanted a place for you, the global professional, the global mover, to have somewhere where we can make the conversations a bit more personal, a bit more specific or related to you. I welcome you to my Facebook group where you can appreciate that you're not alone in your endeavors, that there is a community out there, many people who know what it is to go through what you're going through. So please remember that that space is available to you. So getting back to the 4 main areas. So when you are a global professional who's either been hired by a company to move countries and take up a position there, or you've independently applied to jobs overseas and you're pursuing a job, perhaps of your dreams, to relocate to a particular country, to a particular job, it's all very exciting and ultimately, hopefully, very rewarding. But in the initial stages, it can also be quite daunting in the sense that you're in a new job without really the indulgence of a grace period. Whilst in the background you have many things to accomplish to settle into your new country, you often have to hit the ground running in the new job and, deliver results pretty quickly, given that work doesn't wait for anyone. The job is the job and it needs you to do what you need to do. So that can be quite a big tall order in a way to adapt into a new working environment and perhaps to new kind of norms, different behaviours, different systems that are normal for the country you've moved into but are new to you. So this can be, can add a lot of pressure to your move, and inevitably you're likely to want to deliver and do well. So you might inadvertently apply pressure to yourself. Am I producing the results? Am I doing as expected? Is this all working out as intended? It could be quite a weighty responsibility on you. And it's possible that you might doubt yourself or question yourself. Am I living up to expectation? Am I doing as anticipated? And the questions are natural, but they can be unsettling. And then also, while you're taking on this new major task of a new job, you may also be in the company of family. You may have taken your spouse or partner with you, or maybe your children, and they're settling into new schools and everything is happening all at once. And in many ways, this can be quite challenging for everybody because each member of the family is having a very unique experience and seeing life from their direct perspective. And not necessarily is everyone talking about it because everybody is kind of just dealing, so to speak. So there can be a silent struggle that can really make or break the whole experience and can even derail the whole experience, making it not necessarily always work out. Sometimes, if you have a family, there's all manner of questions because you want your children to settle in. There may be language obstacles. There may be the type of school is different from what your children are used to. There can be so many anomalies to adapt to. Now, if you're the spouse, you might not be able to work, or if you're allowed to work, it's like, what kind of work are you permitted to do? And it might not fit with the career path you were already on, or perhaps you feel a little bit isolated initially. And your partner, who's the new hire, is incredibly busy because they're all set for their work. Given that this kind of situation is one where everyone is going through quite different experiences, yet all within the same home, it can be quite unsettling and a little bit nerve-wracking for the person who's moved for the job, because it can feel quite burdensome in a way, because you really want to be happy directly yourself, but you're really wanting your entire family to feel settled and satisfied in their move. And sometimes the burden on the new hire can be quite immense, because perhaps the family is going to follow you in a few months' time. So then there's the added pressure. Seemingly when you set that arrangement up, it was to have things go even keel and take your time. But now all of a sudden you're not only having to settle into the new job, but having to find a home and make sure it's a home that's appropriate for all the family's needs in relation to schools. And so that can be quite a daunting thing to be taking on, whether you're doing it on your own or your spouse has joined you and you're trying to fathom it all out together. And when it comes to housing, you're trying to find your new home, which is really important. And that can come with quite a few things that were hidden that can surprise you, because on the face of it, you can do your research, you can know some basic facts, but it's the things that people don't tell you that loom up. So, if you take me, what happens when you arrive in a country at the height of summer and everybody is about to move on the 1st of September, as they do in student lifestyle in Boston? How do you get a removal firm when they've all been booked up? Practical things like that can suddenly become intensely stressful and almost like deal breakers, like, well, what do I do if, or how do I resolve this if this isn't going to work out? So the stress can feel quite insurmountable sometimes. And then in terms of the cultural adaptations, I think it's the subtleties. It's you go into your new job and even greetings might be different. Meeting structures, the social norms, the behaviours after work, the expectations within the company, how that company is structured, whether it's hierarchical or whether you're meant to act on your own initiative, whether what's culturally sensitive, what's politically correct, all these dynamics which everybody else is familiar with, and humour We forget humour, different senses of humour, whether it's appropriate to be sarcastic when you're a Brit and we thrive off sarcasm. Things like this can really throw us off guard or cause perhaps an upset or a misunderstanding that was totally unintended. And so how do you find your way staying true to you and yet establishing yourself, fitting in and behaving and acting appropriately to the environment you're in? And it's not that each one of these comes up in steps. They all come up at once. You're dealing with your family's feelings, you're dealing with the new job, you're dealing with a cultural adaptation, and then in the background something has gone wrong with a credit history inquiry about the house. It's all happening and it's critical, it's important, it matters that you are able to get through these things and come the other side so that you feel settled, grounded, and enjoying your new life in your new country. So I think also many of these things can be compounded by things like I gave you the example of the timing of when you arrive in a city. Other things can make things difficult, time zone change, weather, so many things that we didn't even factor in, we didn't think about are suddenly derailing things. Some small thing that can knock you off course and be quite unsettling, or that can induce stress. And all the while, you needing to keep going and deliver and do well in your job. So I think it can lead to a questioning or a doubting in your situations because am I being appropriate? Am I doing well? Is everybody taken care of? Do they feel heard? And maybe you're even asking if you're feeling heard in the midst of all of it. So that's why I wanted to have the Facebook group. I really wanted a space that people could come to where you can explore, ask questions, raise concerns, and not just have it be a place where maybe you get advice, but more so a place where you can unravel what's important to you, what matters to you, what you need to retain as valuable, so that your unique experience of your move works out for you, because each of us is completely different and each of us has different circumstances. When you move for your job, your circumstances are entirely different to mine or someone else. But it can be comforting to know other people have been through it and are there endorsing you to success. I'm not obviously going to try and go into the solutions for everything I've just touched upon here, but the immediate solution I have is to say, do join me in my Facebook group, Moving Countries 101 with Clare K, because this is a space, a community ready to welcome you. We have a sense of what you're going through, and every situation is unique. So there is no one size fits all answer, which is why I'm not delving into solutions for each of the 4 areas. But there is a starting point for them, and that is the Facebook community. So it is with great pleasure that I invite you to join me so that we can support you in the direction you're taking for your move to be a successful and satisfactory one, where you'll settle in and feel rewarded both in your job and in your life outside your job as you settle into your new country. And for many people, sometimes moving is a long-term intention. So how you settle in is very, very important. And so if I can be there for you, I would love to support you on your way to your success and happiness in your new country. Thank you for continuing the journey with me in the Facebook group. I look forward to seeing you there.